cosine rule. This is another rule that you use at GCSE a lot, and it's given as a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos a. And it's labelled the same as the sine rule, so opposite the little a for the side is the large A for the angle, etc, etc. Now, the easiest way to know that you're using the cosine rule is that you'll have, like in this question, you'll have a side angle side, where the angle is sandwiched by the side. So it's an SAS, side angle side. So it's trapped. And you're trying to find the missing length here, the x labelled over here. Now, remember, this a squared is going to be the length squared, but the a we're looking for here, the length, is the same as whatever we're doing the cosine of. So we're going to use this here as our large A because it's the only angle we know. So this is going to be our little a, our length we're trying to find. So this is going to be our angle and this is our length, and it doesn't really matter with the other two which one's B and which one is C. So now it's a case of plugging our formulas, our numbers into the formula. So here we go. So our b squared is our 9.4 squared. Our c squared is our 5.6 squared minus 2 times 9.4 times 5.6 times cos of the angle, which is 61. Now remember, for this we are using our calculator in degrees, so make sure you've got your angle set up in degrees, the little d in the top corner of your calculator. You find out what 9.4 squared is, add on 5.6 squared, you get 119.72. And if you tidy up the bit here in the bracket, then you get the value roughly 51.04 ... because that number is probably going to carry on for quite a while, because cos of 61 isn't a nice rational number. So remember to use your answer button on your calculator. If you do 119.72 minus 51.04, you end up with 68.67 ... Now remember, we're given the length squared here. It doesn't make sense to have a triangle here where one length's 5.6 and the other one's 9.4. There's absolutely no way that one could be 68.67 centimetres. So remember, finally, to square root your answer, which gives you the value of 8.29. Now, the second type of problem you could be asked to do is to find the missing angle. Now, our equation is set up to find the missing side. Now, we want to rearrange this to make the angle the subject of the equation. So, there's our original equation. So, first thing that we want to do really is to make this equation so that all we've got left on the right hand side of the equal sign is the minus 2bc cos a. So the first thing we're going to do is subtract these two away from both sides. So I'm going to have a squared minus b squared minus c squared is going to be equal to minus 2bc cos a. Let's just rewrite that last little bit there again because it's not very neat. So cos a. Now, to leave cos a on its own, we've got to divide both sides by the thing we're timesing cos a by, which is minus 2bc. So you're going to have a squared minus b squared minus c squared all over minus 2bc, and that's equal to cos a. Now, as we're A-level students, we're probably going to be able to remember how to rearrange this quite easily from our original equation to this. Some of you may feel that you need to learn this equation here off by heart to enable you to find the angle. it's up to you. So, obviously, let's try and now find a missing angle, given that we've just found the equation. So let's just move this a little bit so we can see what we've just found. So, I know that I'm looking at the cosine rule, remember, because we've got a side angle side. Okay, now we want to find this angle here. Now, there's another fact why we're using the cosine rule here, is we only know one angle. And to use the sine rule, we must know either two angles and one side, or two sides and one angle. So here we know three sides and one angle, which is not enough information to use the sine rule. So, yet again, this is going to be our A, and this is going to be our little a, and it doesn't matter which one goes as B and which one goes as C. So let's use that one as C, that one as B. Doesn't really matter. So, plugging into our equation. So, A squared is 6.3 squared. B squared is minus 5 squared. C squared is minus 9 squared. All over. Minus 2 times 5 times 9. And that's going to be equal to cos A. So, if you sort out the top bit by typing it into a calculator, you're going to get the answer minus 66.31. And if you sort out the bottom bit on a calculator, you get minus 90. Okay, now it's all about calculator skills and remembering that to find a missing angle, you do the inverse of cos. So, you do the minus 66.31 divided by minus 90, you get 0.736. 7, etc. And that's equal to cos of A. So A, do the inverse of that, you end up with 42.5 degrees. So as I said, the cosine rule was done at GCSE, but you now need to remember it. And remember, the easiest way to remember using it is if you've got a side angle side.